Live.
Ooh. Welcome, and welcome to this business question time with myself, Duncan Lewis. I am a communications trainer and I run a business called Eaglei, and I'm absolutely delighted to be joined by 4 inspiring women for an hour of conversation. We were scheduled actually due to have a fifth person, Lisa Borry, who unfortunately can't be with us because she's in London on business, and that she had to go down to London at very short notice. So we wish her well, but I am joined by these 4 lovely women. So welcome all. It's lovely to see you, and you could all introduce yourselves in a moment. Just to say that feel free watching this live to ask your questions or make any comments, and we will do our best to get through your comments and questions. But we are going to be talking for about an hour, and I'm leaving the last 15 minutes specifically for question time. So we will get round to answering as many as possible that we've got in the time. And if you are, of course, using social media to celebrate International Women's Day and indeed a series of events that have been run this week, then try to remember to use the hashtag IWD2021 or choose to challenge. They are the 2 hashtags for today and this week. So welcome everyone, lovely to see you. And Carrie, if I could perhaps start with yourself. Introduce yourself, explain what it is you do, and interestingly, why you do what you do.
Thanks, Duncan. Yeah, it's really nice to be here. Thank you for inviting me. So my name is Carrie, and I am the co-founder of an organization called the Frog Project, and we are a yoga business. So I teach yoga, and I teach with a group of amazing teachers from around the world. Actually, there are 5 of us together, but me and my husband, Martin, set up this company actually several years ago and took it online last year at the advent of COVID when the pandemic hit. So essentially, I teach yoga to as many people as I can, to as many people that want to take part. Not what you might expect of yoga if you don't really know a lot about it. I teach anybody. Everybody is more than welcome to the class, and we have a great time together, starting to learn to connect to our bodies and our minds, and then all the amazing stuff that happens after you do that. It's magic. You should come along and try it. So why I do it because I'm totally 100% dedicated and passionate to yoga lifestyle, all the good stuff that it brings. I practice everything myself every day too. So I wanted to be in business to align what my values, what my beliefs, what my passions were. I've always felt really driven, and the opportunity to train as a yoga teacher several years ago, and the opportunity to teach first in Scarborough, and now we have an international audience. Mostly UK based, but we have students everywhere. I do it because I love to bring yoga to everybody else, and I love for people to experience yoga in the way that I've experienced it, and how it can help physically, how it can help mentally, emotionally, how it can help prepare you for big transitions in your life. So the last 3 years I had 2 children, and for anybody that's had a baby, gone through a pregnancy, all those amazing things, the transition is immense. And so having a tool like yoga by my side has been incredibly helpful. Having it by my side through the pandemic and living through this has been incredible. So it comes with a load of tools, with a load of support for the body, for the mind. And so that's why I do it. I want to bring what I've learned and what helps me every single day to other people. In a nutshell.
That's lovely. And do you do yoga with your two children?
So the little one is only 19 months. She does do her fair share of poses. And if anybody has spent time with children and or animals, you'll see that they do yoga poses all the time. They're totally natural. A bunch of yoga poses, they're called child's pose and happy baby and all these kind of things. And they're inspired by children. Children are doing these poses all the time. So I don't really believe in teaching little children yoga because they know it, they do it. That's what they do. So really we can learn from them. But my son, he is 3. And so he's constantly, especially because I teach at home now with my camera and my setup. So as soon as he sees the camera, he jumps on the mat and he starts to mimic like the introduction that I use and things like that. So he tries, but I don't teach them directly because they teach me. It sounds cheesy, but it's true.
That's lovely. Thank you very much. Nicole, if I could come to you, because you're very much involved with a business that is related very much to the human body. So tell us about what you do and why you do what you do.
Thank you. It's good to be back. Very different International Women's Day this year, but it's good to be back either way. I am a boudoir photographer, so I specialise in taking intimate portraits of anybody, obviously over the age of 18. But I don't just specialise in women, I photograph men too. For my why, I've been in business 6 years and I photographed everything under the sun. I've done pets, babies, portraits, nature. And then a friend asked me to do a boudoir session with her, and I completely fell in love with the way she reacted when she saw those photos of herself. And since then, I've just been hooked on that. It's a bit selfish, really, but I just love seeing how a person changes when they see themselves the way that I see them through my camera. So I've been specialising in boudoir since 2017. I should have opened my new studio in January, but obviously the universe had other ideas. So it's decorated, just getting the last finishing touches put together to open on the 12th of April, ready to go. And as a part of my business, I run a Facebook group as well, which is all about empowering, sharing obviously my work, and building each other up. And it's become a really huge part of my business. And from there, I've done body image retreats, workshops, all that kind of thing, just to sort of build on, and so that I'm not leaving people, like the boudoir photo shoot is part of the journey, not the end of the journey. So I do as much as I can to help people continue that, and sort of break how we see ourselves compared to how society says we should.
I think it's fascinating, and I have known you a while, and I'm a huge fan of your work. I'm just interested to know, your work is very personal, and in many ways it's very intimate. And I just wondered how, male or female, how do they react, and how do you react with them on a shoot?
The thing is with me personally, obviously every photographer will do this differently, but I've got a lot of touch points before someone comes in for a session. So this is why I heavily promote having a consultation beforehand, because if I want someone to come and take their clothes off for me to photograph them, they need to be able to trust me and see that, I am a trustworthy person, that I'm going to help them feel comfortable and safe. So that was what I originally created the group for, so that people could get to know me before they book the session. And then we have their consultation, which is where we go over any concerns they've got. I explain the process in full. And then when they're coming for the photo shoot, obviously this is slightly different with men, but women have hair and makeup done as well. And I do all of that as well. So it gives us the chance to really get to know each other, for them to start to relax, to feel comfortable. And by the time we get to the photo shoot itself, so focused on following my instructions and my direction that most of the time they're not even thinking about anything else that's going on. So it's basically like the whole experience together rather than just having the photo shoot itself.
Sure. And finally, for now, where is your new studio going to be?
Oh, it is in Malton Marketplace, which I'm really excited about. So it's
wow.
I've been to Malton before. The marketplace is absolutely lovely. It's above a shop called Pea Green Pottery. So I'm excited to get that open.
That's terrific. Well, good luck, of course, with that.
Yeah.
Delia, if we could come to yourself, explain to us what you do and why you do it, please.
Right, well, I'm a local artist, so I use quite a lot of different mediums, and I have an art shop come gallery. Well, we call it the hub now because we're doing that much in there, but I teach art as well, so I do workshops, and we also sell art materials because there is no really sort of specialised shops anymore. It's all online, and I still believe in being able to offer other things like free advice and things like that. So when they walk into the shop, making them feel comfortable and trying to just sort of get people to use the creative side, and which helps with their mindset, especially in this current climate. There's quite a few people taking up art. So, being there to offer advice. So we have got a shop, but we've had to adapt, obviously. And from the first lockdown, we actually moved just as the first lockdown. We came out of the first lockdown, we had to move. So it's been a bit of a roller coaster for us, but, we're still enjoying it. Reason why I do it is, again, it's like Carrie, it's a passion. I lost my dad in 2016. Now, I did do art when I was at college, when I was 16, 17, which is another lifetime away. But like most people like me in college, we all got told, get a proper job. Art's not a job. So I ended up being an accountant for 20 odd years. Absolutely hated it. Worked for lots of different companies. And then when I lost my dad, it sort of made me focus again on life and think, well, what's life about? It's about doing what you want to do and doing it while you can still do it. So I picked up a brush first time since I was 17. I was 50 odd years old, and I don't know, it just sort of escalated from there. It started off as a hobby and just turned into a business pretty quickly. And I just love what I do. It's not a job, it's a dream, really, a dream come true. And I just can't wait to get open in April. I'm looking forward to seeing all the the customers that have supported us through the pandemic, and come into the shop quite regularly. And also we support local artists. I'm encouraging local artists to display their work, because like big galleries charge quite a lot of money, quite big commissions. And we've got a lot of talent in Scarborough and Yorkshire. So if I can help them in any way and offer them space, and we're doing exhibitions and things like that. So I mean, some of the artists have actually sold pieces from the gallery in lockdown. So, it can work. And I just want to encourage as many people as I can to sort of pick it up and do anything, painting, drawing, whatever. It helps with your mindset, and I think it keeps you going. It's kept me going. So that's why I do it. I'm just so passionate about it. So...
Delia, you were very modest when you said quite casually, and I'm an artist. You're more than you are an artist, of course, but tell everyone the types of work that you do.
Right. Well, my favourite type of work is I love to do human portraits and animal portraits with coloured pencil mainly, because with that tool I can get in and do a lot more realism. And I love doing commissions for people because, I mean, a pet is part of the family. And if I can capture the personality, and especially a lot of people when they've lost a pet, it does affect them. So I've done quite a lot of that kind of work. And it can be a bit emotional when they come to pick it up, when they see the finished piece. They can get sort of progress. As we're going through the commission, they can get progress photographs, but a lot of them do choose to leave it while the last minute and come and see it. And the process is they don't pay until they're 100% happy with the work, and I've never had anybody turn me down yet. So, but I do also do watercolours. For beginners, I do teach watercolours and oils as well. We do oils. I don't do acrylics. I'm not very keen on them, but I have got a young lad that works for me. He started just as it was in October, and I couldn't furlough him, so we have actually paid him and kept him going, and he's an absolute asset to the business, and he loves it. He's as passionate as I am. He's got his BA honours, whereas I'm just self-taught, so you've got a best of both worlds.
Not just.
I know that you post a lot of stuff online on social media, and so much of your work is so incredibly lifelike. I know that that element of that level of detail is very important to you.
Yeah, because it's like when you're doing a commission for somebody, like I say, with a pet, it's not just a pet to them, it's a part of the family. And you want to capture not just they can just have a photograph of the pet if they want, but if you're doing a piece of art, the trick to it, or the knack to it, is to actually incorporate the personality of the animal or the person. Even if you're doing a personal portrait, is to capture that personality. I mean, the strangest one I got, which was a bit nerve-wracking, was my first portrait, and it was a lady that rung me up and asked me to do a portrait of her husband. She sent me in a photograph, and I said, well, have you got any other photographs? It's a bit unclear. So she says, well, I have still got some of him. He had green eyes. And I thought, what do you mean had? Because she was only a young lady. She was only in her 30s, mid-30s. And then she'd come back to me and she said, yes, he died a month ago. And I thought, oh, my God, just in that short period of time. And it was quite daunting, because it was so, oh my, can I actually fulfill what she wants? Because that was my concern, her getting what she wanted. And we've actually met up after that. She comes to Scarborough every Christmas. So we missed this last year, but the year before we met up, and she's such a lovely lady, and she has a pride of place in her bedroom. So, I love that when somebody, it can be a bit upsetting, but it's also rewarding to know that you've actually created something that somebody can see for what it is. It's that person, personal relationship. And that's what I just love, the reactions, and that, people are getting what they want.
Lovely story. Thank you for that. Rita, if we could move to yourself, tell us about the world of, or indeed Scarborough's version of Soroptimists.
Right. Well, hello. My name is Rita Lehman, and I have been a member of a club called Soroptimist International of Scarborough since about 2013-14. Before that, I was a member of the York E-Ball Club. And I'm going to start with why, because I was running a therapy practice in York. And I had some new neighbours, a charity, and the woman came and introduced herself. We got chatting, and she said, have you ever heard of the Soroptimists? And I said, well, actually, I have. And there's a flower bed with a plaque in it near the walls. And it shows how marketing can come in all sorts of forms. So she said, well, we've got an open evening in a hotel. Wine and nibbles. I thought, that sounds good. I'll go along. She said, come and find out about it. So I went along, met some very nice women. This was 2006. And they introduced different projects they were doing. And I just fell in love with it, because I was looking at that time for something else to do in the community. I had changed various things, and I was looking for a new outlet. And this was a group of like-minded women who were working volunteer, giving service, voluntary, nationally, locally, nationally, and internationally. And I just loved it. I didn't want to belong to a group that just did something in the town, in the city. The fact that they were worldwide, I thought it was inspiring. And in fact, that is the byline. The byline is inspiring action, transforming lives. We do some fundraising, we have to, but that's not what we're about. We're about project work, and we're about project work that we call program action, and we do it all over. And inspiring women here on the Yorkshire coast has been very kind this year, and taking up one of our members' businesses, which is the Eva Women's Aid. And and thank you to the inspiring women for taking that up. I moved to Scarborough from York, and that's how it came to be. The reason I'm basically on here is that last year I was very privileged to become president of Seroptimist International of Yorkshire, which is 21 clubs all around the whole county, the biggest county. So you can imagine that when you come to the question of how did things happen last year, that I have got quite an answer for you. Did it affect us? Oh, yes, big time. But anyway, that's what I do. I'm here representing the Scarborough Club, and I'm called IPP, the immediate past president of Yorkshire. There we go.
That's lovely. And does it take up, I mean, is it full time, this role? Does it take up your whole week, or where do you prioritize?
Well, I don't run the, I passed the practice on to some colleagues before moving to Scarborough, and I'm now a writer. And so I write, I mean, I can fit in everything. I'm also really, as you've probably noticed, very active on social media. And I have just started, again, later on in the conversation, something that lockdown made me, encouraged me to think about doing with the Seroptimists. So that I'll come to that later. But yeah, it's, it's there when I get up in the morning, and it's there when I go to bed at night. It's always there. I am a Seroptimist. I think if you sliced me through the middle, you'd like a stick of rock. Seroptimist International is there all the way through.
Very good. And in terms of we think about the main hashtag for International Women's Day is choose to challenge, and we could talk about challenge in all its various forms. Inequality, gender, and a whole raft of other issues, and we don't have time to discuss all of those. So I wanted to pick up on challenges for each of you during the last year, during COVID. I'm interested to know what they are, what some of what they have been, and how you have overcome those. So Nicole, perhaps if we could start with yourself. Obviously, you haven't had the studio. You haven't had people to be able to come to the studio. What challenges do you feel you've overcome?
Well, actually, until December last year, I was working full-time as a support worker. So I didn't have a lot of time to think about anything else, especially during COVID. We had staff that had been furloughed, people that were shielding. So I spent a lot of my time at work, like more than usual, which is why I've kind of been MIA for the past year or so. I took a bit of time out for my business, and then it kind of hit me that I wasn't going to give up. I wasn't going to walk away that easy. So to be honest, most of the challenge was just staying connected with people, spending too much time on social media, but that was also where I run, most of my business with the Facebook group, that kind of thing. So it's finding a balance. Obviously, I left my job in December with the plan to open the studio, and that got pushed back. I can't even tell you how many photo shoots in total I did last year. It was not a lot in between the lockdowns and when we were actually allowed to socially distance and meet with other people. Obviously, I wasn't able to provide hair and makeup as I normally would and things like that. So that was quite a challenge of, helping people to understand that they could still come in for the photo shoot without hair and makeup and still be absolutely fabulous. And the biggest challenge has been staying sane, I think, whilst waiting for a final on when we come out of lockdown and when the studio can open and that sort of thing.
Nicole, as I said earlier, I've known you for a while, and one thing that always strikes me about you is you do have this incredible resolve, and I can't think of a more appropriate word than that. Where does that come from?
I'm really stubborn. So it partly comes from people telling me that I can't do something, so I'm going to do the opposite, and I'm going to do it to the best of my ability. I'm very passionate Like, I know that this is what I want to do with my life. I'm a risk taker, I always have been. I don't really have any issues on that front of things. So, like, if I decide I want to do something, that's it, I'm doing it. Like, with leaving my job during a pandemic to go full-time self-employed whilst living on my own, you know, with no other income, this is it for me now. I don't really know where it comes from. It's just, it's there, it's inside of me. I've tried to quit photography and go to, you know, a typical job. It's just not me. It's not who I am. I can't live that way.
Great. Thank you. Carrie, if we can come to yourself, what have been main challenges over the last year?
I don't know where to start. It's so inspiring listening to everybody else's stories as well. It just like sparks so many things in my mind. I guess if I start at the beginning of the year or the beginning of lockdown, the biggest challenge immediately was taking what was building up to be a really wonderful community and group of people practicing yoga. So I used to teach at the Buddhist Center. So actually I think the Women's Day class that I did for this event last year, face-to-face, was probably one of the last face-to-face sessions that I did. I think it was like just on the cusp of the end, the end of the beginning, the end and the beginning. So the biggest challenge, I think, was trying to bring everything that we did and everything that we did as a group of people. So bringing the classes and the space that practicing yoga gives for people. It gives them time out. It gives them a way to connect to their bodies, a way to connect to their breath, a way to feel better about themselves. So kind of like what Nicole's doing and what Delia's doing in different ways, and also what Rita's doing, but we're all kind of linked in helping people connect better to their bodies and minds based on our own understanding of it. We believe it, we practice it, and then we want to guide other people to do so. And so stopping live classes stopped people being able to access those things that we were teaching. And so our biggest challenge was to get online. My husband's incredible in many ways, but from the education and the online perspective, he knew how to get us on, and we decided, let's not do it half-heartedly. Let's do it really big. You know, there's our Scarborough community needs classes, but my friends and my family, students that I used to teach in other countries, because before this I lived in lots of different places. So I have a big yoga community and everyone wanted to practice together. So I said, let's all get online. And we were online within 2 weeks, and we were offering for totally free for the first few weeks, these yoga classes, and people were coming, and then we started taking a little bit of money for them. And so we charged £20 a month for like 15 classes a week. Like it's crazy value for money. So the biggest challenge was kind of getting everybody in, making sure we had really nice equipment, really nice sound, that kind of thing. And then juggling life with 2 small children, and now my husband at home full time, me at home full time, and everything, keeping sane, like Nicole said, like it's extremely challenging. My life didn't change massively because I was a stay-at-home mum, and I still am. I don't have the same respite of going to sit in my friend's house and have a cup of tea while the kids play. I have to like push them around and chase them, pull them out the sea, those kind of things. But my life has pretty much stayed the same. So the biggest challenge is running the business, is finding time to do it, is staying up till really late every evening, is working on the weekends. Like, we haven't had a break. But like Delia says, when it's your passion and when it's what you love, it really doesn't matter. It's like a third baby, and it takes as much time as a third baby. I spend as much time awake in the night as a third baby. But it comes with so many bonuses and so many pluses that it's not a bad challenge. It's a good challenge. And so I actually don't see this year as bad in any way. I see it as a catalyst to like springboard me to the place that I am now, if you know what I mean.
And when we look, as we are now have a roadmap out of this situation, do you think that you will return to in person? Will it be? I think the word is blended. Will you do a mixture of online and in person? What do you think?
I don't actually think I will, and the reason is we wanted to do this before COVID, and COVID was kind of what pushed us into this place, because the people that come to our classes maybe feel self-confident. So maybe they're the people that didn't want to go to the studio in the beginning. Maybe they're the people that have got 2 little babies at home and can't go out in an evening because the babies are asleep. Maybe they're the people that are working full time and just have half an hour at lunchtime to kick back and relax. Like, we're providing yoga to people that maybe wouldn't necessarily have come, or we're providing yoga to people more often than they would have done. So previously to this, people would come to 1 class a week on average, and if they missed one for whatever reason, then they'd come once every 2 weeks. And if you practice regularly, you will know that the benefits are so strong, and if you miss a week, it's like missing a shower. You don't function quite the same. And so by offering yoga at home, people are coming 2, 3, 4 times a week. Some people come even every single day. You get more, and it's cheaper. There's so many benefits, and so we love it. And also the fact that I have got 2 little babies and my husband works at home means that I can just plug the camera in, shut the door, and I can teach while everyone's still busy. I can do more classes myself as well. So we're staying online. I also do teacher training online now, which is incredible, because if anyone knows about yoga teacher training, it can take like a month to do, and you have to fly to India and do all this, quit your job like I did to do it. But now you can do it online. You do it alongside a 9 till 5 job. And so the online world has got many, many benefits, and it makes things more accessible in many, many ways.
I think it's there's some lovely comments coming in. Kathy just commented about loving the 3rd baby comparison, and I know Lindsay talked about it's great how proactive that you have been. Just as somebody who attends your yoga classes myself, I just wonder if there was something I find with my own business, where I'm delivering communication and presentation workshops, that I've been doing that online for the last year, but I know that it lacks the impact of face-to-face, and I can't wait to getting back to doing face-to-face work. I just wondered if and I hear everything you say, and in many ways I agree with everything you say, Carrie, but I just wondered if there was something about more of that personal, individualized contact when you are working in person.
Yeah, obviously that is. So you can touch people and you put your hands on people, and obviously you feel the energy, and it's very, very different. But it's surprising how much energy can be felt in an online class. And I did at the beginning, I really questioned it as well. And I said, what's the point of this? You can do free videos of yoga on the internet. Why do you need this live place? So I actually, in the 2 weeks it took us to get online, I joined a load of live online yoga classes all over the country, because everyone was doing them. I started going to them myself just as a test. So I was like, if I'm going to sell this, I need to believe in it. And I went, and it's really, really different. You feel like the people that are there bring a certain energy, and that inspires how you teach. Having people from different time zones and different countries and different ages, and the dog coming in and the kid coming in, and people practice together, people come with their partners, people come with their kids, and it's just different. It will never be the same as live. And of course I will teach live classes, like I adore teaching live too, I mean in face to face, but the business online is so magical that is definitely where it's staying.
Thank you very much. Delia, we're talking, well, challenges, and I know you've had several challenges. Just talk about some of those from your perspective.
Well, as I say, the first lockdown happened, we had a very small shop at the top end of Falsgrave. I mean, I love the Falsgrave area. It's a nice area. It's friendly. There's a nice atmosphere. So I didn't really want to move from there. But we did also realise that because it was just one small shop, one room, we were doing sort of face-to-face workshops and doing a shop. And all we had then at the back was a sink, basically. That was it. And I thought, well, this isn't going to work when we come out of lockdown. We're not going to be able to do the face-to-face and the shop. And so we actually took a gamble. We had seen a shop come up on Falsgrave, further up, just before lockdown. So we sort of put the deposit on it, thought about it. Anyway, we took a gamble. We thought about it, we discussed it. And to us, it made sense, because there was no way we would have been able to operate and come out of the lockdown where we were. The challenge we had, though, was that I was still in a lease contract with the original shop. So we had to obviously work out finances. Well, I'm an accountant, so I did have a bit of an advantage there. So I did work out if we could afford it. It was tight, and we had to make sacrifices at home. But I thought that they were worth what we were going to get out of it in the end. So we took the challenge on. We were paying rent for 2 places for 6 months, which was hard. But luckily, we did get rid of. We marketed the first shop, and we actually got rid of it ourselves. An estate agent was doing it, but we pushed it and got rid of it ourselves. So then we could put all his energy into the new one. And that was working fine. And we've actually increased the services that we do because of the space that we've got. We now can exhibit other artists. We can do framing and mounting. Then another challenge came along, obviously another lockdown. And because people are taking up art a lot, we found we were struggling to get supplies from our suppliers. And the simple reason being, obvious reasons, the big boys online, already established, they were buying all the products up, and they were selling them a lot cheaper than us. So going online was a little bit sort of, we had to think carefully what we were going to offer online, because for obvious reasons, somebody's going to go online. They sell the same paint as I sell, but they can sell it cheaper. So what we tried to offer was a much more personal service. So, I mean, I've had some lovely comments. Somebody'd ring me up, can I have some paint? We were there within an hour. Because it's local, we can deliver. They got it within an hour, so that was faster than online. So there was that side of it, but also, there was the free advice. If somebody rang up about a certain paint, or they were just starting in a project, or just starting out, what's the best paints to use? So I could give them a personal service, and I take all the orders. So I deal with all the orders personally, and then my husband delivers them. So we've gone on to Shop Happy, which is a great project, which is to try and support local businesses and keep the high street alive. Because I know, like Carrie says, online, I mean, I'm online now as well, but I can't wait to get back, because a lot of my customers, it is face-to-face, and it is about social interaction. And also because I live and work in the community, I want to keep that community going. And the more shops that shut, then the community suffers. Through like business rates, that sort of thing. So I do believe in keeping the community going. And because I live in that community, that's why I will keep going as long as I can. I mean, I know it's a bit ironic, but I do pay a member of staff. I don't pay myself at the moment, but we are growing. And that's what you've got to do. You've got to believe in the product that you're doing and what you are doing itself. You've got to believe in it to be able to, see into the future. It's no good looking at what's happening today. You've got to look at what's going to happen in the future. Then obviously I hit some health problems, which were a bit scary, but we're getting there. I'm doing as I'm told partly, but we are getting there. And now I've got a member of staff that's as passionate as me. I know he's going to stand on board and take a little bit more of the pressure off me, marketing wise and things. That's the problem. That's the bit I struggle with, is marketing. We did online. I did Zoom workshops. But the problem I have with them is I might have a beginner come on board, but all beginners are still at the different levels. So you've got somebody tapping, sort of, come on, hurry up, and then you've got somebody else saying, slow down and wait. So we reevaluated that, and now what I've done is I've got a website where I've introduced a channel where I can do videos of a full tutorial, which is step by step all the way through. And then they get loaded up, and they pay a monthly subscription, a bit like yourself, Carrie, a monthly subscription, and they have access to all those videos, and they can stop them, start them, play them again. But I do also tell every single person that subscribes, when I get in touch with them when they've subscribed, they've got my number or my email, and they can ask any question at any time, and they will get a response within a couple of hours. So I found that's the way I'm trying to push the online bit, because I'm getting people from other parts of the country. And also I've got people from America that's looking at stuff like that, because they like the work that I do.
So again, you've sorry to interrupt you. You've personalised that online service.
Yeah, because that's what I think people are looking for. I mean, if you want to, there's a lot of big people out there. I mean, you know, there's a lot of art suppliers out there, but you can't always get that personal touch. You can't get that bit of it, you know, talking to somebody that's got the experience. It's not like somebody just walking into a shop. I mean, you can walk into Debenhams, but, you know, has that person had any experience of actual working with textiles, or do you know what I mean? You've got
Delia, you can't walk into Debenhams anymore.
No, you can't now, no, but you could. Yeah, and this is what I'm saying. It's a lot of the shops that are shutting on the high streets now are the bigger, the national companies, should we say? You've seen the national shops disappear. So I think it's really important that we start to sort of promote the individual little quirky little shops and businesses, and a lot of them are run by women. I've got to admit they are run by women, and I think they run very well, but they need that bit of support and encouragement, which they've been lacking over the last few years.
Thank you, Delia. Thank you for now. I'm just going to move it on, because I want to make sure. Lindsay's just commenting, you've gone global, Delia. You've gone global. Wow. Loads of comments coming in, and I've got some things I want to get through before we come to questions. So, Rita, if I was just to tie you down a little bit metaphorically and say to you, what's been your single main challenge during COVID?
Well, I'm just sitting here thinking, it got to about June, and my husband said, well, my life has barely changed. He still sits at his desk and does his work. He said, your life, because at this time last year, my diary was full all week, travelling from Northallerton, Skipton, Sheffield, Beverley. You know, I was all over, meetings, conferences, you name it. That was where I was going, and events. And it stopped dead overnight. And there are nearly 400 members in 21 clubs all over Yorkshire, and we do action. No action. We do activities. No activities, nothing. I had to completely think very quickly what we were going to do. Fortunately, IT competent, which was a huge help. Communication. Communication was number one. There are these members, some of them were isolated, some were sheltering. While it was a bit of a novelty, it was just, we just had to communicate, and each club had to communicate with their members. I had to communicate with my team, which was, I've got a fantastic team, and go from there. So we immediately started a newsletter. Social media was, I think I did 161 days of a daily lockdown blog. On day one, I started on the 17th of March before proper lockdown. And I think I went to the end of August. It was about 161 days every single day. So it was the communication was the biggest thing. And I would just say that in the June, we had a Zoom meeting, very tentative, 20 of us, oh dear, you know, well, never mind, we'll be at a meeting in September, We had to do Zoom in November, over 100 people buying tablets and this, that and the other, and they'd never thought remotely that they'd be interested in doing that. It'll now, as somebody said, it's going to be a way in the future. So it's changed us, but we've had to adapt to what actual action we took, what project work we did. We did adapt, because but we can't wait to get out there and meet up as groups again, because that's what we are. We do social activities and we do project work together.
Thank you, Rita. Communication is key, isn't it? You can come and help me in my business if you had the time to do it, but you don't have any time.
No, and it's very sad, because this year Sir Optimist International is 100 years old.
I noticed that I noticed.
We're going to have a wonderful get-together in San Francisco, which is where it started.
Oh,
The Scarborough Club is 82 years old. And it's sad that we've had, but on the other hand, we're having meetings with people all over the world on Zoom. So there you go.
Will you bear me in mind? I can come and carry your bags when you go to San Francisco.
It's a sadness, but on the other hand, there's far worse things, isn't there?
Of course. Thank you very much. We talked about challenges during COVID. I'd like to move it on a little bit to talk about the highs and lows, really, of running a business, of doing what you do every day. And I'm conscious of the time, so perhaps we can have, one high and one low, one high and one thing that's not so good, that gets you down, that you're just fed up with, or you find really challenging yourself. So, Nicole, if we could come to yourself, one high of running your business and one not so good.
The high's got to be the way that people have embraced me and what I do and how they feed back to me. Like, obviously, with regards to my work itself and my Facebook community, I get messages on a weekly basis telling me how I've supported them, how I've changed their life, and that is and will always be the best part of my business. My low, probably the fear that comes with being full-time self-employed. It never ever goes away. You just sort of learn how to deal with it. You learn to figure out when it's a genuine fear that needs addressing, or if it's just your mind playing tricks on you. So they would be my high and my low.
Beautifully put. I couldn't have put it better myself. Delia, how about yourself? One main high and one low point?
Well, the main high is obviously the support I've had from customers and actually the reviews I've had on Google, and when people coming back in the shop, the faces, and when you're handing over a commission, the smile and the just appreciation that you get from people, that you've actually had an impact on their life. The low, it's got to be marketing. I mean, the amount of hours that you have to spend to get your name out there really on Facebook. And I mean, I'm not a fan of Facebook, to be honest, with some of the things, but you have to do it. So, I mean, I'm not brilliant at technology when it comes to Facebook, but I do try, and I'm on most of the social media platforms now. But, it's one of those things, it's a challenge that you've got to address. But it does take a lot of the time. I just get a little bit down because it interferes with some of the time what I could be spent doing what I enjoy doing, which is the painting side of it. But, it's worth it at the end of the day if people get to know and you get a few more customers coming in. That's what it's about.
I agree, and it's a challenge for all of us that run a business. But as I often say, I used to be a business advisor in a former life. And as I used to say to people, and I now remind myself, running my own business, that of course, while you're not doing it, someone else is. Well, while you're not marketing yourself, someone else is. And so, I think, for a lot of people, they don't place enough emphasis, I think, on actually marketing the business and telling people that you exist.
And like you say, it's a vulnerable place to be at as well, because when you're on there, you're letting everybody know what you're doing, what your intentions are. So are all your competitors. And like you say, people can jump in and get in there before you, or, so you are opening yourself up wide on Facebook. That's the one thing that scares me. But as you say, it's a necessary evil, I call it. It's just one of those things you have to spend so many hours a day doing.
I don't think people realize. Oh, sorry, Duncan.
No, go for it, Nick.
I don't think people realise when starting a business it's like 80% running of the business and then 20% actually doing what you're meant to do.
Yeah. That is true.
Absolutely. I'm not on Facebook. I feel like this is a Facebook anonymous. I know we're out on Facebook Live. My name's Duncan. I'm not on Facebook, but I use LinkedIn and I use Twitter a lot. I use LinkedIn a lot. But it is constant. You're absolutely right, Delia. It's just and Nicole, something you've just got to keep doing, keep plugging away. And the more people who know about you, of course, the more people can buy or use your services.
Yeah, I'm trying to move away and do LinkedIn and something like Google My Business more, because I think they are a little bit more, you've got a little protection there. It's not like you get, somebody can't just post something that's really derogatory or anything like that. You've got a little bit more, and I think you take it a bit more seriously as well on those platforms.
Yeah.
So that's what my sort of future aim is, to use those platforms more than the Facebook.
Rita, what about yourself? One high, one low?
Well, we'll go back to technology, because the high is technology, because without technology, it would have been very difficult for the clubs in the region and the national clubs and the international clubs to have even survived. I mean, my motto, my mission statement, I suppose, theme for last year was not a write-off, which was going to cover recycling and all that sort of stuff. And my goodness me, it got to the fact that we had to get to the end of my year in October, and the fact that the year wasn't the clubs weren't a write-off. But it was wonderful to see people embrace technology. They weren't the remotest interested in it at the beginning, but could see that by the end of it, that it was a good idea. The things that came out of it, the fact that we had a Christmas party in Scarborough with Dubai, Toronto and Jamestown in the Caribbean on one Sunday afternoon, I mean, was beyond thinking. The down definitely is that we are a group. We meet with people in the community. We do things in the community. Social isolation and groups of rules of six has it's been hard, very, very hard for everybody.
I agree, and the point that I mentioned to Carrie earlier was, I was relating it very much, as I said, to my own business, and I know that coming out of COVID, when we can get together with people, I think my approach will certainly be a blended one. I can't think of a better word. That I will run workshops face to face, because I love being with people. But equally, the convenience of doing some things online. I mean, why would I go to a meeting in Manchester or Leeds when I could have the meeting online?
That is exactly when we've got people driving all over Yorkshire, sometimes early in the morning, late in the afternoon, evening, in the winter. I tell you what, it's not going to happen again. We will not have meetings where that happens. People won't want to do it. Not now they can see they can sit at home and do it. Sure. I should just add, because that's what we're here for, is that the other technology thing is that without this happening and lockdown too, and if you watch the video on Thursday, you will see we now have a YouTube channel called My Mother's Music, playing my mother's old records on my mother's old gramophone for people with memory loss. And that is where the club an area that the club wishes to work in.
That's really beautiful. That's a really good idea.
That's lovely. Thank you.
My Mother's Music on YouTube, Rita Lehman.
Thank you for that. You YouTuber, Rita.
It's a new venture.
Yeah.
Thank you to my husband, who went on a very steep learning curve with iMovies, and we've got there. But that's how we can do the video for how I've done the video on Thursday. And if you watch the video, you'll see it all explained. And my little studio, which is actually a third of the size of a very small room we have here.
That's lovely. And Margaret has just confirmed that's wonderful, Rita. Carrie, what would be a high and a low for you of doing what you do?
I think, like the same as everybody said, actually, the high would definitely be the feedback and the comments from the people. I think some of the things that we might assume from being online is that we don't have the same connection as we would face to face, but the comments, the reviews, the emails, the letters that I get, almost every day there's a new comment from somebody. It could be somebody that's a new student. It could be somebody that's, I think one of our ladies actually is celebrating her 200th class today. And then we have people that just joined for the first time today. This morning I had a class at 7 a.m. and I had 2 new people there. So people are all parts of their journey. People are beginning today. People are beginning tomorrow. Some people have been here some people have been with me for 5 years since I moved to Scarborough, and people even before that when I lived in a previous country. And it's hearing the feedback every day. I walked up a hill quicker and my asthma didn't come. I've slept better. My anxiety is gone. One lady wrote and she said I had terrible IBS and now it's gone. And that happened to me. I also had that and now it's gone. Like seeing real things that happen to everybody. And one of the most amazing things that's come of this year is people suddenly being honest and open about mental health issues and things like anxiety and stress and burnout, and totally common. And people are being very honest about it and acknowledging that they exist, and they exist for me as well. But by practicing something like yoga, by slowing down, you are able to tackle those things head on. Like they're common, but they're not normal. They don't need to exist. I shouldn't say not normal. That's not true. But you know what I mean? Like we can live without them.
Sure.
So that's been a high for me for sure. And it's ongoing, everyday comments, just saying how much practice is helping physically, mentally, emotionally, and also connection. People getting together and feeling supported. Like Delia, we have a really personalized approach. So we might be an international company and half the students I've never met now because we're growing at a nice speed. But we're still so personal. People will email with a question and I'll give a private class to support or advice or anything like that. So it's really important to us that we have that connection. So that's the plus. Then the low, I can't put my finger on one, but I would just say the most challenging times have been the lowest times have been when I felt a bit overburdened by all the things I had to do. Like Nicole said, it's that 80-20 rule. And it reminds me a bit of breastfeeding. Sorry for all the baby analogies. I'm just at that point in my life. But it's that they say it takes 80% of the time for 20% of the effort, and then it flips. So yeah, it takes forever at the beginning, but then later it's easier and it's the easiest thing in the world. Hopefully the business will become like that. And this idea of time management and the idea of I've lost my train of thought. It's the practice of a lifetime. It's not something you have to say, oh, I need to manage my time better overnight. I need to get healthier overnight. I need to change this overnight. Those things will never happen. And social media has this horrible way of tricking us into believing that if we just did this, this, and this, we get fixed. And it's not true. So it's about believing that the lifetime is your time to practice time management, is your time to practice better connecting to yourself. So if you ever feel low, remember you've got a life to practice. There. That's my
comments are coming in about loving your analogies, Carrie, and I would just add to that by saying I personally am not a great believer in time management, because I don't think we can control time, because time ticks on regardless. But I do think I'm a great believer in priority management and actually managing our priorities better. And I think that's something that I think a lot of people, including myself, could develop. I'm very conscious of the time, and I do want to allow some time for questions. So if anyone does have questions, now is your time specifically to fire them away, and we will try to get through as many as possible. But while people are sending in their questions, just want to, oh, look, one straight away from Margaret. We'll answer that one now. Delia, did you do any art throughout those years as a hobby?
The years that I wasn't, no. As I say, I trained as an accountant, and that is a man's world, to be honest, still. So I had to put all my energy into keeping, once I got to management level, sort of keeping up there. And believe me, I would not go back into that position for love nor money. It's so I didn't actually pick a paintbrush up from being 17 to being 55.
Wow.
54, 55. So I didn't even know if I still had it in me. But as soon as I picked a paintbrush up, that was it from day one. And it just went on. And I went into I went part-time, and then I went into a little craft centre So it was sort of half hobby, half working. And then within the year, that was it. Job gone. And I just put my pension and everything and my life into what I'm doing now.
That's a fantastic lesson to learn. It's a I love stories where people have second or even third chances later in life. I love it.
Well, I lost my dad in 2016. Now, he was the one that did support me when I was at college, when I was 17. And that's the only downfall. I just wish he'd have seen what I'm doing now.
Any age, and done proofs.
No, yeah, and I'm glad I did it now.
you see, if we had another hour, we could talk about all these things. But we don't. Another question for all the panel from Inspiring Women. What's the one thing that gets you out of bed in the morning?
New challenges for the day, just new opportunities.
Because nothing's going to happen if you stay under the duvet, even if you're depressed.
I'll admit that it's been a lot harder during lockdown to persuade myself to get out of bed in the morning, but that's I realised because I haven't had, what ignites me of doing my photo shoots and connecting with people. So the photo shoots and the people are what gets me out of bed in the morning normally.
And yet me, I have to wake up at 3 o'clock with an idea, and that's it. I'm up. I can't go back to sleep.
Do that.
I'm up in the studio.
For me, it's either early morning yoga classes, because I have 3 at 7 a.m, or it's my kids, if not, when they're about 6 a.m.
So we've got another question. Thank you, everyone. Another question from Jen. What's your best tip for other business owners?
Mine would be to work on your blocks, whether they be fear, money, worthiness, confidence. Once you realise that you have blocks and that they're your issue and no one else's, and I say that with love, and you can work on them, it makes running your business so much easier. And I wish I'd realised that 6 years ago rather than 2 years ago.
Mine would be to not compete with yourself. So don't make it too hard on yourself. And I guess it kind of links to what Nicole said as well. Like be your best friend, be kind to yourself, and support yourself. Like if you've not done great or you've made a mistake, you'll learn from that, and don't beat yourself up and don't expect or compete too much with yourself, because you'll never win.
I agree with that, Carrie, and I think I would add to that by just saying it's okay not to be okay.
Yes, definitely.
If you're going to own a business, be passionate about it. Don't try running a business that you've only got half an interest in. Be passionate about it and make sure you keep up with the paperwork or the admin, as it would be now, because otherwise it will, in the end, get you and come and bite you in the bum.
Yeah.
That would normally be a great line on which to finish, to come and bite you on the bum. But I've got a few more questions that I'd love to get through. Leah asks a question. Thank you, Leah. Leah runs a dog grooming salon, and she plans a big reopening when we come out of lockdown. Do you have anything special planned yourselves for coming out of lockdown?
I do, yeah. We're going to be doing exhibits, hopefully, in July with VIP guests. So inviting actual, some really well-known artists along and letting locals just display their work in a proper gallery. We're getting that all done out. And also we're utilising the space now, and we're actually producing our own brand of canvases, paints. We're actually making watercolour paints and other bits that are hard to get hold of by suppliers. So we're actually doing them for ourselves and branding them. So yeah, we're doing sort of quite a lot for when we reopen. It's going to be completely new to a lot of people.
That's lovely. And anything else? Anything specific when we come out of lockdown?
I did have a huge grand reopening, new studio party planned. Obviously, that went to pot. So I will be doing something. I'm kind of waiting for a more solid confirmation of what things will be like. So maybe more towards the end of the year.
I have passed the presidency on to a lovely woman called Linda Davis in Dewsbury, and it's up to her to plan how we celebrate coming out of lockdown. And we'll obviously be doing something in Scarborough as well, but that's up to the club to decide.
How about yourself, Carrie?
Well, it's nothing's formalized, but we have a get together every now and then with just some of the students for non yoga, just chat time, and we've been discussing holding a retreat. So we're 5 teachers all over the world. One's in Canada, one's in Namibia, one's in Kosovo, and the other's in London, and there's me in Scarborough. So getting us all together and then bringing our students all together for some time, and we've been talking of doing it in the Shetlands or Scotland or maybe in Europe, but getting together and having a week of yoga and chat and just connecting for the first time in person is on the list, but probably not, maybe this year or maybe it'll be next year.
Sure.
I don't quite believe it's all over. Sometimes it's hard to imagine.
Well, apparently we're all going to Portugal to meet up with the lovely Margaret, and she's agreed apparently to host. Well, put us all up. So it's incredibly generous.
Yeah, I spoke to her, and I said I might bring my yoga retreat to her house, and she said that would be okay. I saw the pool, and it was a sale.
There you go. There you go. But I got in my request before you, Carrie. So I just
Wait,
I know
you're a yoga studio. We can go together.
I know that Kelly has a question, which is around: do any of you have a bucket list that you created? Well, a bucket list created of things that you want to do. And that sort of links to the final question I want to ask in a moment. So, Kelly, I'm just going to put that on ice, that question, and ask it together with my question in a moment. Gillian's asked a question. Lovely to virtually see you, Gillian. Is there anything that you would have liked to have done during lockdown and haven't for whatever reason?
For me, that's probably quite a long list. I've battled quite a lot this past year with my mental health, between being full-time self-employed and managing the business and all that kind of thing. So there's a lot of things I didn't do, but there's also a lot of things that I did. I can't particularly say anything in particular.
Sure.
I never sorted out the photographs that I was going to do last April. They are still in a suitcase, still in an ottoman, and they still need sorting out.
But did you do the 500-piece jigsaw?
No. I did create a YouTube channel.
That trumps the jigsaw every time.
Well, to be honest, with the health scare that I had when that happened that day, it was like, well, I can't really say there's something that I haven't done. I mean, anything now is a positive for me. So
Really?
I'm just happy that I can do what I can do now and carry on doing it. So
absolutely, and may you carry on doing it for a lot longer, Adelia. Carrie, anything yourself?
No, I've been going 100 miles an hour. There's no time for anything else. So now I'm pretty satisfied with how things have been.
But have you rested?
Pardon?
Have you rested? Have you taken some you time?
No, I do. I managed to squeeze that in, actually. Surprisingly, people ask me that. And I do it in just 5 minutes or 10 minutes, but I always take... My favourite thing is to go jump in the bath 20 minutes before the kids. So I'm like, right, I'll go quickly now. 5:30, I'll have a bath. Check out after dinner, leave them with my husband. That's the best thing I think about us both working from home, is you can just take 10 minutes here or there, which is incredible. So yeah.
Carrie, I've got to ask you, I know from reading about you and your life, your background, that you have lived all over the world, and I must just ask you very briefly, because we don't have very long left, what brought you back to the UK? Because you have lived literally all over the world.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened. So I met my husband overseas, and we got married, and we lived in Malaysia and Sri Lanka, and then we said let's let's go home. And then we came to Scarborough, where his parents were, because it was always sunny and it seemed nice. We said maybe we could buy a house, maybe we'd have a family, and within about a month we'd bought a house and we were pregnant, and we were like, okay, I guess it's happening. What else did we wish for? I think maybe I'm growing up. I'm not sure.
No, never grow up, Carrie. But I'll remember that line. It's always sunny in Scarborough.
It was a trick.
It's a trick. So, final question in the last few minutes that we've literally got about 5 minutes. Plans for the rest of the year, and it sort of links to Kelly's earlier question about bucket list, things that you may have created that you wanted to do or thought about doing during lockdown and haven't done. It may be one of those, but just in more general terms, plans, goals, aspirations for the next, where are we? We're in March now already. Wow. For the next 9 months, what would they be? Carrie, it'll come to yourself.
For us, from a business perspective, it's to keep on going. We've been online for a year, and I believe that all businesses sort of take about 2 years to really make it. And so we're halfway. And so I think yoga is always hard in the summer. It's always hard to have anybody coming to classes in the summer. With lockdown lifting, we're also going to struggle because people's habits will be changing. And so moving through the rest of the year with the same drive and the same momentum, like Delia says, like I've been taking no money. It's all volunteering, and it's not sustainable forever. And so I really hope that the passion and the drive and the momentum and the energy that I put in and that my husband puts in will be sustainable. And will support us in the future. So our goal is to keep on going, and hopefully see something at the end of the year. Hopefully it'll keep going. That's the goal.
Great, thank you, Nicole.
To continue building my Facebook community, that's really important for me. I've got a whole bucket list, vision board, whatever you want to call it, with goals for how many photo shoots I want to do, how much money I want to make, new projects that I want to start and finish, hopefully. And I've also started a Facebook community for businesses, which is called Build Your Business with Nicole Vogwell. I've been in business 7 years this year, and I just want to share a little bit of what I've learned, more of this, basically. So.
Nicole, as I said earlier, your middle name is Resolve. And I absolutely applaud you for all that. Thank you. Rita, plans for the remainder of this year?
Personal, I haven't seen my daughter, and she's only in Belfast for 20 months, and I'd like to see her very much. And my family in London. I mean, family is number one. But then for the club, it's just at that time to be able to get together as a group and go out and do some program action together. We're all doing it. We're arranging to. We're providing. People are providing their own photographs, and we're going to be doing some printing of that. I mean, we're trying to think of things we do in our own homes, which is how come the music thing. I mean, the music thing will continue because I've got a large collection of my mother's dance records that I'm trying to get through at 2 a week. But anyway, so there we are. And then what we'd like to do is to go out to organise little events and to be able to visit people in their own homes with the gramophone, with the records, to start conversations. That would be lovely. But I think that's because of the demographic. I think that's a little way coming.
Thank you, Rita. Delia, I'll leave the last minute or so that we've got to you. Plans for the next 9 months?
Just to keep getting more and more people involved in art and creative. And also looking forward to getting back to working with some of the local charities like Carers Resource. We've done quite a bit of work with those, with the young carers. And I always enjoy that. It's absolutely fantastic to get the kids involved because they do spend time caring for siblings. And it's their time and they love it. So yeah, I want to get back involved in some things with that, and just offering people the opportunity, whether they be children or adults, to just start learning art. So that's what I'm looking for, and keep going.
Thank you. And thank you all very, very much. Delia, Rita, Nicole, Carrie, thank you so much, both for your time and for being so inspiring to listen to this afternoon, and just giving people an insight, a glimpse into your world. So thank you very much indeed. I wish you all, of course, to stay safe, and I wish you all continued success in everything you do. And thank you for joining me this afternoon.
Thank you, Duncan.
Thanks, Duncan.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.